What if I told you that you could write your first real song with only 4 notes? You don't need to be a music theory wizard. If you can count to 4, you can do this. By the end of this video, you'll have your own song part and know the power of one of the most famous scales in music, the pentatonic scale. Alright, grab your guitar and get ready for a fretboard adventure.
Let's ride!
Part 1. Building blocks of music. As a beginner who doesn't know much about the fretboard, this will blow your mind. Let me show you how notes repeat across the fretboard. In Western music, we only have 12 notes or frets that repeat over and over. You see it here on the fretboard. You can try this out by playing an open string and then the 12th fret. Everything repeats after fret 12. If your open A string is an A, then your 12th fret is an A as well. This higher note is called an octave. This repeating pattern is the same on every string and fret. Anything 12 frets higher is the same note. Across the whole fretboard, you have 2 to 4 octaves of the same note and even the same pitch across different strings. Let's see how many E's I can find spontaneously. Crazy, right? The good news is you don't need any of that for today's lesson. But I want to show you how everything repeats and connects. You don't have to remember 60 million notes. It's just 12. We're going to use these octaves to keep things simple and connect notes across the neck. This way, we can use the same 4 notes, but with a slightly different feel and purpose. Let's start with 4 notes in the first octave. And here are the same 4 notes in octave 2. Do you hear how they sound the same, just brighter each time? And here's octave 3. Same 4 notes, but again higher. By the end of the step, you already have the foundation for your first song part. If you want to memorize where these octaves are, compare the distance between the first note of each box or octave with the first note of the next box. In this case, we got 2 strings down and 2 frets towards ourselves to find the next octave. For the third octave, you want to go down 2 strings and 3 frets towards you. Give yourself a random challenge, like playing each octave once, twice, or 4 times. Part 2. Rhythm. Now that we have our notes ready, let's turn it into music. Pick 1 note from octave 1 and play a short rhythm with it, just 1 bar. How about... that could be a rhythm. Something simple, with quarter notes, half notes, and eighth notes. Most beginners overwhelm themselves by wanting to play all the notes, but you can create music with just 1 note already. If you can't jam on 1 note, you can't jam on 2 or 3 notes. Embrace the limitation, and you will be surprised how it sparks creativity. Once you have a rhythm you like, pick a new note and play the same rhythm. Sounds good to me. Now add 1 or 2 more notes until you have 4 bars total. And you're totally good with just picking 3 notes. Here I just played the same fret for 2 bars. The rhythm is all yours. Repeat it until you feel the groove. Do you want more power? Swap single notes for open chords or power chords. Think of famous rock riffs here. Power chords love living in octave 1. If you would want to turn this into open chords, you could take an A minor for this A, and then a C for this one here, and end on a G. And all of a a sudden, it already sounds a little bit like a song. You're going to see some real-life student examples in a little bit, but I want you to try it on your own first. If you struggle first, instead of getting it handed out to you on a silver platter, you will have more motivation to actually want to understand it. Give it a shot. Part 3. Melody. Now, head up to Octave 2 and write a melody over your rhythm. Melody isn't about speed. It's about feel. Try holding long notes, play quick ones, or use rhythm to make it catchy. This time, you can use more than one note per bar. It would be wise to have the melody repeat to keep things simple and memorable. Think of the riff recipe from Lesson 4. Short, catchy, repeat. Here's a challenge. Pause the video and try 3 different melodies or riffs with Octave 2. Tell me in the comments if that was easy, hard, or right in the middle. Here is a student example for a melody that we're going to investigate in a little bit. You see, he found a little loophole to play more than our 4 notes. By bending that 7th fret, he introduced a new note. More on bending in the next lesson. Part 4. Combine rhythm and melody. Here's the fun part. Let's put rhythm and melody together. If you can, loop your rhythm part and jam over it. This way you can play back your rhythm and layer in your melody. My personal tip? Use a notation software like Guitar Pro, MuseScore, or even your phone's voice memos to capture ideas before you forget them. Musical ideas are like dreams. You have to catch them before they vanish. Also, here's a small but important step people tend to overlook. Playing with music or a metronome will improve your playing by a lot. My personal recommendation is, if you plan to play guitar longer than 2 months, get Guitar Pro. I've used it for over 20 years now, and it has been a trusty sidekick in a lot of musical endeavors. Not only learning songs, but practicing, transcribing, and making my own. Next, we're going to make the song truly yours with a little solo section. Part 5. Soloing with Octave 3. In Octave 3, it's solo time. Use anything that makes your style shine. Slow and fast notes, long and short, whatever you can come up with. This is where your personality comes out. Play like you mean it. There are a lot of techniques you could use here, but for now, we want to keep it simple. We're going to introduce those fancy techniques in the next chapter, so make sure you subscribe and hit the bell to know when it drops. For now, find a way to play back your rhythm part while you can try out to solo in Octave 3. Since a solo rarely repeats, you might want to expand your range of notes a little bit more. We're going to introduce one of the oldest scales in human history, still used today, be it rock, blues, or metal. Part 6. A minor pentatonic explained. Need more than 4 notes for your solo? Let's open it up. You already learned the A minor scale in Chapter 2, and you can totally use that. Today, we want to look at a cousin of the A minor scale. The A minor pentatonic scale has 5 notes and works with everything we've built so far. You see it here on the fretboard. Pentatonic comes from the Greek language and means 5. You can create a pentatonic scale by taking any regular scale, then remove the 2nd as well as the 6th note. In our case, that would mean no B and no F in our scale. Let's break it down in 3 easy steps. First, you find your root note. Then you build a groove inside the box. And then you expand into the other boxes. Combined freely with the 3 octaves you know for a full soloing toolkit. Here's how the 3 boxes of the pentatonic and our 3 octaves from earlier would look like on the fretboard. Mess around with it and try to make the best possible combination of rhythm and melody. This is a great opportunity to record yourself and listen back to it. You can judge it better if you have to focus less on playing and more on listening, especially the first few times. If you're happy with both rhythm and melody, see how soloing over the rhythm feels like. You can do nothing wrong here. See it like a huge sandbox to test things out. You got this. Pro tip: whenever you land on a bad sounding note, don't just stop playing. Use this secret technique instead, the make it look like it's on purpose technique. If you only play the bad sounding note as a short passing note, people might think it was on purpose. Like a pothole in the street, you won't notice it if you go fast enough. Later, when you play full major and minor scales, it gets even better. You will realize that a good sounding note is always one fret away. This will allow you to adjust or correct on the fly, and people think it was on purpose. You just added a little bit of flavor to the acoustic dish. I saw this live in action when I was on tour with Simply Red. Every day, we had 10 to 20,000 people in front of the stage. Every night, the guitar player would improvise a solo. And often enough, I thought, ooh boy, that guitar solo doesn't sound that's actually great. He fixed his mistakes so quickly that it sounded like it was on purpose. And who knows, maybe it was. Bottom line is, your confidence plays directly into how good your music sounds. And if you wonder how all of this connects to a real song, I've got a real-life student example coming right up. Part 7. Student Example Song. Here's an example from a student who built a song idea with the same approach we just introduced. First, he came up with a rhythm in octave 1. Then, he upgraded the notes to power chords. After that, the melody from octave 2 was added that you heard before. Like mentioned earlier, he bent the string to go to an even higher note. In his case, he had a whammy bar to make the bending easy. If you wonder what a whammy bar is, it's this lever connected to your bridge. Not every guitar has it, but some do. If you pull it, the pitch for all strings goes up. If you press it down, the pitch for all strings goes down. You can do some fancy stuff with it, like explosions. Or motorbike sounds. Oh no, car crash! Or even elephant noises. Explaining each of them would be its own lesson. Let me know in the comments if that would be interesting. Back to the song of my student. Since we had a rhythm and a melody we liked, we took a step back and listened to it to find out which part of a song it could be. There will be a detailed breakdown about all possible song parts in Lesson 7. But for now, let's focus on the two most important parts of any song, chorus and verse. Here's an easy way to tell those two apart. The chorus is the main message of the song. It should have the best rhythm, the best melody, and the highest energy. It repeats multiple times throughout the song. The verse, on the other hand, is usually quieter, has less energy, and more room to tell a story instead of repeating the main message. So the big question was, does this feel like a chorus or a verse? The rhythm felt great. It was moving a lot, it was rocking, and same for the melody. We decided that this is our chorus. So we needed a lower energy verse to complement the chorus. Here's the verse idea he came up with. The eighth notes give it a steady pulse that has less energy, less movement. It gives the singer or the melody more room to shine. He even used the same notes as in the chorus, just played them in a different style. And just like your song idea, this song will grow and evolve over the chapters until it is complete in Lesson 8. You see, it's not at all about playing the most notes. It's about how the notes make you feel. And sometimes you can get very far with just 4 notes or 4 chords. There are millions of examples online to check out. The band Axis of Awesome made a song called the 4-Chord Song, and it features 30 songs in that one song because they all use the same chord progression. This spawned an online archive where fans tried to find more, and they found thousands. Part 8. Recap and outro. Here's what you learned today. You learned how to build a song part with just 4 notes. You discovered the songwriting connection between rhythm, melody, and solo. You explored the pentatonic scale. You had a real-life student example that guarantees you this is possible. I hope you realized how limitations can boost creativity. It is great if you feel stuck or unmotivated. If you tried all three things, rhythm, melody, and solo, you didn't just play guitar, you composed. Now you've got the tools to write your own chorus and verse. If any of those topics are not clear, rewind and make sure you understand everything. If you get stuck or need help, feel free to comment below. Don't forget you can grab the free ebook version of this lesson and all other lessons at lavaboots.com. Stay curious, stay creative. See you soon.